All right, Mark. Break it down. What do we got going on here? This is going viral, by the way, on YouTube. So
what we got going on here is what we're going to do first is we're going to drain the hot water tank. So all we've done is remove the plastic plug.
Okay.
Now what I want to do is get this air compressor running so we fill up enough air so we can blow out the system.
Got it.
What I'm going to need you to do though is to go inside and open all the valves on all of the faucets.
Okay.
All right.
Got it.
That'll put air behind water. We'll get this thing drained out. We'll do a flush. Now where's your fresh water tank?
Front of the camper, left side.
Do you have it open?
No.
Okay, we're also going to want to open up that drain to get that fresh water tank empty.
All right.
You point me in the right direction and I will do the...
Right there. And I'll get the inside.
Opening. Nope, there should be one at the lowest point. Right
oh,
here.
the drain. Yeah, right there.
Right here. And then I'm going to open this up so we get air behind water too.
All right. So we've got all the drains open. Now what, Mark?
All the drains are open. So what we want you to do is take half a gallon of the antifreeze, the RV antifreeze, and put it in the toilet. You want to keep that seal moist. If it dries out throughout the winter, then you'll have gas leakage or water leakage in the future.
Got it.
So you want to keep that moist at all times.
So are they going into the actual black tank or just the top of the ring?
Just on the top to create an air-water seal.
Got it.
So toilet's going to be closed. You're not going to flush it down. You're just going to pour it and leave it about this thick.
Okay.
A little quick tip is we're taking covers off here. We took one off the hot water heater. We took one off of the freshwater drain. One guy keeps them in his pocket at all times, so you're not chasing them around. All right. The worst thing that can happen to you is in the spring, you don't have this stuff available. You're gonna regret it.
All right, so I'm here in the bathroom, and I'm actually going to dump half in and flush. And the reason why is because I'm gonna actually put the whole thing in there. Is because I filled this up with water at the end of our last trip, so I don't want that to freeze. So I'm going to put a whole gallon in there, and then I'm going to put half a gallon in the top.
Prepare to just do a quick flush of the hot water tank. Keeps any sediment from building up or corrosive elements.
All right.
So we're just going to go in there kind of willy-nilly, get it in here, and just work it around. You may see particulates coming out. This camper's not that old. So, and you don't have an anode rod that's dropping pieces in, so it's going to be pretty clean. And that's it. Just give it a good flush. That way it has some pressure, and you let that finish draining.
All right, go.
The next thing we're going to do when this finishes draining is install this plug, which hooks up to the hose I have on my air compressor. And we're going to flush it with air several times. First with all of the windows and doors, or the valves open, not the windows and doors, but with the valves open on all of the sinks in the bathroom, and then once with those closed, including closing the freshwater retention tank.
Got it. Okay. So we're waiting for this to drain first?
Yep.
How much does it have to drain? Is it going to be a total complete drain?
No, you're always going to have a little bit in there.
Okay.
The difference is that we will leave this will stay open, and we're going to set your plastic plug actually inside here. We're going to set your plastic plug inside here, and you leave that open. So if it were to freeze, it has room to expand, and it won't damage anything.
Got it.
All right. It's likely a
So
stainless steel.
so you're saying for the winter that plug
Yeah, for the winter we're going to keep that plug left out.
Okay.
Yep. And we're going to set the plastic plug right here so that when you open in the spring, you know where it is.
Got it.
All right.
All right, so we're back here. The blowout plugs that we got were both a little too large.
They're too large of a diameter. Now what I would have done is I have a pair of caliper gauges. I would have gauged the plug before I ordered anything online. So you really want to make sure that you're buying the right products. It's obvious that the RV owner here fell short of expectations. All right, so since we don't have a plug, what I'm going to do is essentially just put it in, and I'm going to use the rag to prevent some of the air blowback and escape. And then what I'm going to ask is, after I start blowing, you go inside, just take a listen to make sure you hear some gurgling and air going through. You may even feel some air coming out of the faucets. Let that happen for a minute or two, and then go ahead and shut off the faucets. Pro tip is you have to understand that I'm using a small, low-powered pancake air compressor. If you have a large air compressor, you want to make sure that you turn the pressure down. The lines inside are plastic and are not made for pressure. It's unlike copper lines in your house, can take a lot of air pressure. Your sprinkler system, when they blow it out, takes a lot of air pressure. These are soft PVC lines, and you want to be very careful not to just kill it with air, because you could affect the fittings and create a leak.
So the pressure that this thing puts out doesn't create a risk for that.
Right, because I have it dialed down to, and I can even dial it down a little bit more. I have it at 120, which is pretty typical for what you see for nail guns and so on. It's at 120. I can actually turn it down a little bit first, if I remember how to do that. See, I'll turn it down to make sure that the pressure, we'll bring it down to 90 psi. Okay, there you go.
All right, so I'll go inside. I'll
just take a listen, and I'll get the air started here.
Great. All right, I'm in the camper now. Lines are open. Let's see if we hear anything. All right, I'm in the camper. And, oh yeah. So we got water blowing through there, 2 lowest points, and even in the kitchen. We'll do this until we're done, and then I'll talk about the next step. Alright, so we ended up blowing the lines maybe 3 or 4 different times, and it got to the point where, although there was water coming out, it was not as heavy as the first time. And so I think we've gotten as much out of the upper pipes as we can, and we're going to go outside and do a little more. Pro tip: extend this down to the bottom so that any water left inside the shower head will gravity drain while they're blowing the lines. Okay, we're good.
It's kind of loud with the compressor going, but we want the compressor to refill so that we can blow out the freshwater storage tank. We're done here. We're leaving the valve open. We have this here ready for next season, and I've also taken the air and I've blown out any cobwebs or residual dust. So that's it. You don't need to touch this the rest of the winter. We've removed the bottom drain cap. I still have it in my pocket, and this drains what is technically the lowest point in your trailer, next to the hot water tank. This is the clean water fill. This is the city water connection. What I'm going to do here is just blow some air. We'll get a little sputter and just reduce the amount of water condensate that's left there for the winter.
Now, should I turn the faucets off on the inside before you start?
Nope, because it shouldn't go up into those faucets. Air is coming out here. You can feel it. All we're doing is giving it a little bit of a drying effect. All right, that's it. The other thing is we're going to leave that open for the winter.
Got it.
Okay, so I'm going to give you that cap, so you're going to want to put it on the counter, windowsill, or someplace where you'll see it often.
Okay. All right, so we're inside. All the valves are open.
All the valves are open. Now what we're going to do is we're going to fill 3 traps up with RV antifreeze. There's 2 traps in the double sink, and there's a trap in the bottom. There's 4 traps, excuse me. There's a trap in your tub. There's a trap here, and there's 2 traps over here. So all 4 traps we're going to fill and replace the standing water with propylene glycol, which is your RV solution, preventing it from freezing.
Got it.
Because this stuff is so inexpensive and it doesn't damage your lines, it doesn't hurt to use more than you think you need. Now, one thing you want to think about is putting something like peppermint oil in here. Take a paper plate, buy some peppermint oil at the health food store or the grocery store. Spread the peppermint oil on a couple of paper plates and lay them around the inside of the camper. It's a good deterrent for mice. And it smells really good.
Okay. One thing.
Mothballs we're going to use on the exterior.
Got it. Something I used for my pop-up was I soaked cotton balls and then put them in little Dixie cups in all the corners of the camper.
However you want to do it. Another thing is, you have to, when you turn off this fridge, you have to clean the fridge and leave it ajar like this for the winter.
Got it.
Okay? If you don't, it will be musty no matter what you do. So clean it out, shut it off, take it off of power, wipe it down, and leave it open just like this.
So talking about power, Is this camper going to stay connected to the power?
Right.
To keep the battery on a trickle charge?
That's correct. You're going to shut everything off that doesn't need to be on, and then it's going to act like a trickle charger to keep your 2 batteries up.
Okay.
All right. So let's finish the antifreeze in the 2 remaining traps. I'll do half a gallon in this trap, and I'll do half a gallon in the sink trap itself. Okay. This stuff doesn't stain. You don't have to worry about it splashing around. You don't have to worry about cleanup. You just let it sit. What you're doing here is you're replacing all that regular water that's in the trap with the antifreeze. That's more than enough to fill the trap because it's just the U. What you're filling is this spot right here. That's being filled with antifreeze. Okay?
Great. Mark, talk about the non-perishables and canned food and dry food.
You can keep canned food in because if it freezes, it won't expand. But I would not put in canned, sealed, pasteurized food because the glass could break. So if you have a jar of pickles in there, if you have a jelly in a glass jar, those are the things you want to remove. But if it's canned food, hash browns, box goods, macaroni and cheese, that can all stay.
Okay. Pancake mix, flour, anything like that, that can all stay.
As long as it's sealed. I mean, you have a new RV here, so you're not dealing with someone having drilled a hole in the pack there. But like things like pasta sauce, I would remove, right? Because those are in glass jars.
Got it.
But you can keep your oils in there, your hair products, all of that.
Okay.
So we are done with the antifreeze portion.
All right, so we're outside now. You got the mothballs?
That's right. What we want to do with the mothballs, because many of them are in a container like this, you want to put them at the point in which a mouse is going to climb up and be a deterrent. So I'm putting them on top, and that serves 2 reasons. One, up here, if it was on the ground, it would, between rain and snow, they would wick away and they would lose their efficacy. Up here, they're going to maintain and stay strong.
So staying that close to the camper, the smell's not going to naturally go up into the camper?
If it does, it's going to be minimal, number 1. And number 2, if you put enough peppermint oil in there, you'll never notice the difference.
Okay.
All right, so I put 1 on each tire, and we're going to go to each contact point with the RV round, which means your hitch is going to be one of the next ones. So if you could grab an extra box and bring that with you.
Great. All right, so real quick, we've got all the contact points, which is basically the bottom of each jack, the top of each tire, and the bottom of the tongue jack. All right, so we're on the inside of the RV. We took the filter and cover off.
And you can see, even with just regular use, it gets pretty grungy. But they're made to wash with mild soap and water. Get them cleaned, lay them on the counter. They're ready to go for next season.
Okay. So when we close this up, leave it plugged in, turn off all the lights,
Yep.
power down the refrigerator.
Yep, clean the refrigerator.
Yep.
Gas shut off. Both tanks are both gas tanks will be shut off.
Disconnect.
And that's it.
Okay.
You don't even have to disconnect them. You can just close off the valves.
Got it.
Because you don't want condensate and water over the winter to get into those gas lines.
Okay.
Interesting that we found is we forgot to check the outdoor shower. Even though it hasn't been used, we know that the water will fill the system. So what we've done is we've opened both valves for the winter and we've unscrewed it from its connection. The good news is we see a little of the RV antifreeze come out. We saw some of the pink, which means there's some antifreeze in the line and it's unlikely to freeze. Notice here, this is an O-ring that came out when we took off the connection. So you just want to make sure that you pay attention when you're putting it back together next year. But let's leave it like that. Put it away. I'm going to prop that right there. And we'll lock it up.